again. But other than that, are there any other things that you don't really understand?
So
Do we need to do the visualization?
So yeah, visualization is the main part. The algorithm part probably you don't have to develop the algorithm part. You just have to use the predefined part. So visualization will be the main deliverable for this project, I think.
Okay.
Does it make sense? Any other thing that you want me to help and clarify?
Can you show me some similar web application? It means 1.3.
Yep. So let me try to use this to demonstrate.
Hi, T, you make become unclear.
Yes. Maybe some lag.
Well, I couldn't open it back up.
Sorry, Tim, we can't hear you clearly.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you see the image?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Hi. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hear you.
Yep. So, for example, for this image, the one on the top is this is the original data point.
Yeah.
It has 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 data points.
Yeah.
They are all on different values. The first one probably is close to 0.5. The next one is so the first 3 points are pretty close, and then the next one is pretty far away apart, and it's pretty far away apart again. These are the original points. So this mapping is actually a very simple mapping. It is just using logarithmic to transform the data. So after transformation, the first point maps to here, the second point maps to there, the third maps to there, the fourth point maps to there, and the fifth point maps to here. So for this one, the mapping is very simple. The mapping is just y equals to log. Oops, sorry about my terrible writing. It's just y equals to log base 10 of x. Does that make sense? Log base 10 of x.
Yeah.
So this is the mapping function for the first slide. Whoops. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So it makes sense, right? So
yeah.
So the first one, the mapping. I can't draw things on it now. Not sure why. Oops. Sorry. So this is what mapping means. Mapping means mapping from the original value to a different value. So this is the mapping function for this first one. So for example, for this one, but so if you, are you guys still here?
Yeah. Still here.
Yeah. So if you imagine this mapping function,
Yeah.
the value in between will also be scaled accordingly, right? So imagine value that are between the two very close point. Oops. Sorry. The annotation function is a bit funky. So values within there will be mapped to there. Values at here will be mapped to there. Values over there will be mapped to there. So it's like scaling the data points within the two original input into different points on a different scale. So for the requirement of the project, from the sounds of it, the user will input the original data points. So user will input these. In the context of the project, these data points are referred to as happy, not happy, a little happy, and whatnot. But then you can just imagine them of like some points with a different scale. And then based on so in this case, user would have only input 5 data points. But then what you need to do is be able to interpolate in between. So given these 5 data points, if I were to have a new data points here at the red lines, I want you to map to a new value that is somewhere over here, right? It should be somewhere over here, right?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Is it confusing? So because this point would be mapped to here.
Yes.
This point would be mapped to here.
Yeah.
So for sure the red new points would be mapped into somewhere between 1.5 to 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically the application is just, they call it as transformation function. In this case, the transformation function is a very, very simple log base 10 of x. But then there are other methods that helps you to do the mapping.
Yeah, we understand what mapping means. Yeah.
Yep. So from my understanding, Professor Mazza wants you to, first of all, find different mapping algorithm, and then develop a web-based applications where the user can choose different mapping algorithm. And then user will input where the data points are. So in this case, it will be these data points. But in general, the user should be able to define different number of data points. And then the algorithm that they have chosen should map new things, should create the mapping. And then any new data points, it will map to the new space. So any new points that comes into the original scale, it will map to somewhere here. And does it make sense so far?
Yes, it's very clear.
So feel free to interrupt me if there is anything that you understand, because I understand that it might be very confusing for you to understand this sort of mathematical formulations when you are not from that background. So another thing that I have heard during the conversation is that, so this is the application. Professor wants you to deploy that final product as a Docker. Do you know what is a Docker?
Yeah, Docker. The
You do know, right?
yeah, you
Yeah,
do,
so-
do yeah.
Yeah, so it's just something that allows you to quickly, so this is a Docker, so that he wants you to create a containerized image so that he can basically, what it's for is so that he can run your code from his machine without needing
Yeah.
to install extra things.
Docker can send the environment.
Yeah, send the entire environment, exactly. So if you know what a Docker is, then I don't have to further explain that.
Yeah, I know.
And so he mentioned something about CI,
Yeah, CI.
which is basically this. So a CI is basically, think of it as something for you to run unit tests. So in CI, you have different tests. So you have different tests, unit test setup, which is the basic, like in most software development, you should already have some unit tests set up. So what a CI does is basically that whenever you create new changes to your code, it will run it against every unit test. Do you know what is a unit test?
Unit test.
Unit test.
Yeah, unit test.
Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So your unit test is testing whether your function has any bugs within it or not. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have implemented some unit tests before.
Yep. Yeah, so what a CI does is basically when you create new changes, it will run it against the unit test, and then it will tells you whether the new changes. So because sometimes when you write new code, it might introduce bugs in your code so that the test will fail, right? So a CI is basically something that whenever you make changes to your code, it checks it against the unit test. If it passes, then it will publish it. If it fails, then it will tell you that, oh no, you have something wrong in your code. Then it will tell you that you probably should double check your code and find out where the bugs are.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. So I think that is what I want to mention from what I have heard. But other than these mentioned issues, do you have any other things that you want me to help you to clarify?
That's all.
Sorry?
That's all for now.
Oh, that's all. Okay.
Yeah, maybe we'll connect you to later.
Sorry.
Uh,
Can you speak louder?
Oh yeah. And do you mind we connecting you later if we have some question?
Connecting
Yeah.
what?
Connect
Yes,
you
we will.
later.
Oh yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
of course.
So
So no, yeah, so probably you should first look into like what are some of the terms that he mentioned means. So from the very basic, mapping is just mapping some thing from X space to Y space.
Mm.
In general, it might not be, so for example, in this case, some object from X will map to some object from Y. That is basically what the mapping is. So you know, like when you like study mathematics, they call things as functions, right?
Yes.
So a function is, so every fx, f is basically a mapping where it's mapping something from X to something as Y. This, so even the concept of some sort of function, y equals to fx is already a mapping. To summarize what this project is about, is the user will input y equals, so say I know that y equals to so say if y is emotions, emotion equals to happy, I want emotion equals to happy to map to some value. I want emotion equals to slightly happy map to some value, some other value.
Okay.
And then I might have emotion equals to super happy, x equals to 10 map to some other value. And then I want you to be able to interpolate in between. So say if, does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I understand it might be confusing, so feel free to let me know if you're confused.
Yeah. I have a question. So
Yep.
how if it is happy, we represent by word or just by the liner?
Liner?
Do you-
What do you mean by liner?
we need to express the expression like happy. User inputs
Okay.
the words or for example, user first input a word happy, then choose the liner. You should adjust now. You get it? Never mind. We will discuss first.
So I think to begin, you don't have to worry about the actual words. You can assume that, let's say, use y and x. Let's say the, let me open up something that is easier to type. So because from the sound of it, the professor doesn't really have a data set. Assume you have x, so input is x, output is y. Assume that, so which means that, say, x is happy and then y is 0, 2, x equals like happy, y equals to, I don't know, 1.5. So this might be what the final product will look like. But to get you started, assume the number as numeric. So say x equals to, I don't know, 1, y equals to 5, x equals to 2, y equals to 10, x equals to 5, y equals to 25, 25, I don't know, something like this. And that, so given some, so these are basically them, but as numeric value, right?
Yeah.
So assume that the user will give you something like this, something like this. And if I were to ask you, what is 7.5? What is x equals to 7.5? What is y equals to? And then you have to create some function that you can call this as oops, constraints. So say these are constraints. So whenever user inputs so if user inputs something that is very close to this, because like 11 is very close to this, right? So the var should probably be something like 31, 32, something like this, right? Because this is x equals to 11, it's very close to this value. It should probably be slightly above it, right? If I were to input, say, x equals to 9.9, then y probably is like 29 point something, or like 28 point something, because it's just slightly below this value, right? Does it make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
User input. So these are user inputs. User one map to 5, 2 maps to 10, 5 maps to 25.23, 10 maps to 30. So when a user asks you a new value, he wants your system to be able to tell it what would y equals to, and give you another number, what would y equals to again. So these are user input, and then when user query it, you will return the value that you had predicted. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
We
Yes.
can set the user input. It's created by ourselves.
I think so. So first of all, for your final product, it will be user input from the web interface. But I think right now you should just create by yourself to test
Okay.
your algorithm.
Okay.
Does it make it more clear of what the professor is looking for?
Yeah, clearly.
So in a higher level, this is to the use. I think the professor is trying to make this usable to map emotions into like some sort of numeric value as a number. But then you can think of it as like map emotion into numbers. But then from an implementation point of view, you can treat these as different, as just like a function where you're mapping one value to another value. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Any other matters?
Mhm.
Maybe no.
Okay, that's good. So I think so first of all, do you have any so you guys, I remember you guys said that you are familiar with Java, is that right?
Yeah, Java.
Yes.
Okay. I am not too familiar with Java, so I'm not sure what would be the best library that you can use. But I think if you search with the key points of like nonlinear mapping, you should be able to find some resources that does that. Yeah, so I think you guys should first read up about some of the background information and feel free to let me know if there's like any clarification that you want me to help clarify. I understand that it might seem very overwhelming because like everything seems to be very new and like unfamiliar to you. But yeah, so feel free to let me know if there is anything that I can help you with. So you don't, most of the time you don't have to worry about how to implement mapping from user input to output because the algorithm should does that for you. What you have to worry about is probably like find those sort of algorithm and see how you can incorporate that into your web-based applications. So just read up a bit about the background information about function mapping, and then to get you started with like looking up into related topics and ideas. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. That's it from me. Anything else?
Maybe no.
Let me know
I
later.
think we
when-
should, yeah, we should do some meeting with our teammates.
All right, sure.
And
No
if we
problem.
have some question, we'll send the email. Hati, can you join our Slack? If we have some problem, maybe we can connect with
Sure.
you. Yeah.
Have you invited me in your Slack?
Yeah, I sent the email to you, but you still
Oh.
didn't join.
Can you send it again if possible?
Okay.
I might have missed
Okay.
that because like there are a lot of invites from different groups, so I might have missed some of them.
Oh, okay.
Just send me again.
We can send it right now in the chat. Please wait a minute.
Oh, sure.
Hati, what do you think about this
Yes.
project? Is hard or
So I would say
what's mean of
that
this?
I would say that so there are some projects where you have to implement new algorithm, which might be harder in the sense where you have to develop something and you might not know whether those will work or not. The good thing with it is,
Yeah.
so when I was asking about the professor of what sort of metric he wants you to use, he did said that you don't have to worry about the performance and of your algorithm, right? Because so you don't even have to worry about comparing different metrics. I think that is a plus for you guys because you don't have to worry about improving things, or you don't have to worry about the performance of the algorithm. You just have to implement them, whether they works well or not.
IT, are you here? We can't hear you. Hello?
Hey, sorry, I'm not sure why I got disconnected. But as I was saying, yeah, I wouldn't say it's easy because I know the topic is new to a lot of you and you might not be familiar with what's the meaning of mapping. But then it's not the hardest because you don't have to implement like new algorithm for the purpose of like you don't have to develop new model or methods.
Mhm.
Do not have to be too stressed about it. From the sounds of it, it sounds like the professor isn't too harsh as well. Even though when he was a bit he was joking when he was saying like to make him not pay for the project and whatsoever. But that also means that he is not too serious about like he's not too strict,
Mhm.
too harsh. From
Actually,
the sounds of it.
I just find he's my 5040 lecturer.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he's I just find.
I see. How is it? How was he in that subject?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, from the sounds of it, it doesn't sound like he's too harsh for now.
Mhm.
So don't have to worry too much about it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
That's okay. No problem. One thing, I think the one thing that I can think of is that some of the algorithm might not be in Java. So you might either need to use some other language if you want to use some specific algorithm, or you might need to implement that algorithm in Java if it's not too hard to implement that. That is the only hard part that I can see from this project. So either you have to use some other language as your web-based application because the algorithm is in other language, or you need to implement the algorithm in Java yourself if that algorithm is not available in Java, as in like in the library and packages and all that. I think this would be the toughest part. Other than that, you don't really need to develop a new algorithm. So you don't have to worry about the theoretical side. Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, okay. I'll see you guys later during our meeting. And that yeah, and feel free to let me know if you have any further questions about the project
Okay.
later on.
Okay.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later.
See you.
Yeah.